Hey guys, today the show is brought to you by Patriot Gold. The CEO of Wells Fargo warns that the worst is yet to come for Americans. Deutsche Bank is forecasting a major recession along with similarities to 70s era stagflation and real wealth destruction. Quote, if the playbook follows the 1970s, gold and silver are the standout cheap asset from this starting point, according to Deutsche Bank strategists. Bloomberg Intelligence forecasts $2,500 gold by year's end. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo see gold hitting record highs in 2022. Former Gold Court Chairman Ian Telfer warns peak gold has been reached regarding maximum output, and for that reason has raised his forecast to $2,400 to $2,500 an ounce. Jeffrey said their long-term forecast remains in place for gold prices to push to $5,500 an ounce. Call the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention beans and you'll get best-in-class service from Patriots protecting Patriots. Patriot Gold Group has the no-fee-for-life IRA, where your IRA and 401k can be in physical gold and silver, and you may be eligible for the no-fee-for-life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Call 800-356-4470 for a free investor guide today.
RadioInfluence.com.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Dark to Light podcast with
Heatwave Val and
Beans. I was having a conversation yesterday about this. Did you ever in your life, I know we're young, but have you ever seen pavement bubble because of the heat or asphalt ever?
I've never seen asphalt bubble, but I have, but all the tar in between. You know how when new asphalt is put down as patchwork, they will line it. They will line the perimeter of that new patch with tar.
Yeah.
That always liquefies over here. Like if you step in it, you're taking it with you.
I have never in my life seen that. Never once. Never. And I've lived in the same place as you. I don't know.
But you're talking about the asphalt itself.
No, the tar is probably more likely, and I'm probably just misunderstanding what the person was.
The asphalt does soften. I mean, if you do, like, for example, I had my driveway done 2 years ago now. It was about a month before Aurora was born.
Yes.
And still to this day, if it's a hot day and I find myself with an hour that I can actually give to myself and go outside and put a chair out and just, lay in the sun in the driveway, even in 45 minutes, I pull that chair away and there's 4 knobs indented in the driveway. It's still to this day.
Now you've invoked a childhood memory long repressed of the kickstand from my bike. Yep. Now I remember.
That would do it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I take it all back. I've seen it before. My bad.
It softens up for sure. I guess that's why you have to keep sealing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very hot there in New York. I know yesterday I was talking to my father-in-law and he was saying how hot it was up there. We might have you beat, he said, but you didn't. And it's also ridiculously hot in England. I heard. Just so everybody knows, I've heard from our very close fans that are coming to the extravaganza in a month, Frank, that they had no idea we were going on hiatus for a week or so.
Actually, to be honest, I didn't either until you told me today.
I can't. I've said it every show. What is going on?
I don't know. You know what? I understand because people, whenever I take one day off, I'll usually announce it for weeks ahead of time with, quite frankly, and I'll get very concerned. I'll get dozens of concerned emails as, Frank, it's 7:00. You're not on. Is everything okay?
Aw, that's because people love you.
It is very sweet.
Well, they bring you into their living room every day at 7:00,
I know.
Which I think is so awesome. There's certain things I listen to every day, and when it's not there, I'm like, damn, that sucks. But yeah, so Friday's show will not be live, or we won't have, I'm going to sneeze. Friday's show won't be here. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of next week won't be here. So I was encouraging the locals pre-show folks to go and listen to some of our interviews that we've done, like with Kash Patel, Dr. McCullough, Dr. Zelenko, who sadly has passed on. Yeah, so go do that stuff. But this is a weird story that came out, Frank. Hold on. I'm going to sneeze. It's right there. Okay. How the title of the story is, it's from the Daily Beast. Are you ready for this?
Sure.
How an unqualified sex worker allegedly infiltrated a top Air Force lab.
Wait, are they unqualified in offering work?
Apparently, they were very good at that part of their job.
Oh, okay. So they're unqualified to get into the laboratory.
Yeah, like
So they should have said a worker gained unauthorized access to a laboratory.
what's the Daily Beast, Frank?
I know, because it makes me think like a person who was very bad at being a whore kind of found a way into this lab.
No, a senior research scientist working on advanced propulsion technologies for the U.S. Air Force duped a contractor into hiring an unqualified worker. There it goes again. He had paid using a government charge card because he thought she was, quote, really hot, according to the feds. The man then allegedly threatened to kill the worker's supervisor and himself when the scheme fell apart, but not before shifting the bulk of the project's funding elsewhere to pay for her salary at a different defense firm. He lied about her resume. Apparently, she didn't know how to use basic word processing software and struggled to formulate coherent interoffice emails. This guy tapped the woman to co-chair a scientific panel for unsuspecting photonics researchers designing turbine engines, detonation engines, scramjets, and rockets. Now, the guy, whose last name was Gord, died last September. Nobody's saying how. They're not releasing the name of the woman. But this is the paragraph that really, really got me. Hold on, wait. Good fit, hired her. Here we go. Wasn't timely with her expenses, didn't fully understand how to use basic software. Okay. Roy then confronted Gord, Roy's the supervisor, who came clean and disclosed that she was a prostitute he met in Cincinnati. Gord allegedly told Roy that he kept an Excel spreadsheet on his government-issued laptop with the names and details of various workers around the country he saw while on official trips for the Air Force. He didn't want his wife or kids to know about his relationships with these women and took out cash advances against his government travel card so the family finances were not visibly affected. Yet Gord, who allegedly told Roy he paid the woman $400 an hour for her services,
Wow,
claimed to be in love with her and said she felt the same. Still, listen to this. The woman engaged in acts of prostitution around Wright-Patterson with other scientists from the Air Force Research Laboratory.
jeez.
One,
All the science. First of all, Wright-Patterson is the Air Force base that they have allegedly brought all the alien bodies from Area 50 from the Roswell crash.
well,
That's where the bodies went.
so one of these scientists, identified in the following only as Dr. IK, paid the woman approximately $20,000 a year to clean his residence in the New. This woman is.
That sounds great.
And can I segue quick, because this is not where I thought we were going to go, but we're going here. My husband sent me an article he saw on the
Did any of the guys out there think that sounded bad? Yeah,
So-
and that's the other thing I didn't understand, why the New York Post would put this out there and pretty much advertise their OnlyFans, because it was a one-page advertisement at the end.
It's very strange. So I looked into her and I found her TikTok, and I started looking through her TikTok. Apparently she got a nose job, all kinds of other stuff, right? And then I clicked on the link to her Twitter, and this is what got me. Front and center, pinned tweet, is a quick video with no censorship at all, no blurring, nothing, of her having sex with her boyfriend on Twitter. So that is fine, but I'm not allowed. I'm very dangerous.
Oh, you have no clue. I sometimes come upon this stuff too, because what I'll do.
It's fine. Whatever.
Here.
Don't worry about
But
it.
when I get here, sometimes I'll look into the comments every once in a while when there are dissenting comments that come my way, because of course there's no crossing over of audiences. Jeez, I guess what are they, right in the stairwell? Hold on a second.
This is hysterical. Yeah, there's no crossing over of audience. He was gonna. They're making $80,000 a month on $80,000 a month. I beg. I can't even. I guess, you know what? There's a market. I don't know. This is crazy.
But this is what I'm saying. A lot of those dissenting tweets, whenever my tweets do break through to the other side and people that don't agree with me actually see it, I'll sometimes click through the kind of the accounts that are commenting, because I like gauging how many of them are non-human. And so many of them are accounts And so many of them have those same kind of pinned tweets. They are just completely exposed. It's just right out there in the open. And these accounts are at least 5 years old each.
Yeah, and there's no issue with it. There's no banning. There's no strikes. But that stuff is all over Twitter. It's everywhere. Just blatant. But the news is dangerous. Very dangerous, Frank. Can't have... All right, so we're going to move on to Bannon. Bannon. Do you know anything about what's going on in this case at all?
No, I knew that it was coming on Monday.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So I'll give a quick history of what happened during the time back when they subpoenaed him, which I think was last fall, winter. Donald Trump has sent a letter invoking executive privilege. So Bannon's attorney, Robert Costello, was going back and forth with the committee trying to work out how Bannon could testify without breaking the privilege that was asserted. And they were going back and forth about this. They had set some dates that had come and gone because they hadn't come to consensus. And Costello had advised Bannon not to testify against the privilege. So the lawyer told him, you're not going to be able to testify, especially about this, and this that they want, unless we can work something out with them. And in the midst of that negotiation, they sent a criminal referral over to the DOJ to have Bannon arrested for criminal contempt. So it wasn't like he just looked at them and said, we're not doing this, forget you. It was an active negotiation ongoing. So fast forward, all the crazy stuff happens with the attorney being spied on by the government, all kinds of crazy other stuff. And now we're getting to the point where the trial's coming and they're trying to determine what evidence can be put in and what evidence can't be used. And the judge rules last week or the week before, I forget which week it was last week, that Bannon is not allowed to talk about whether or not the committee is legit. He's not allowed to argue that they were anything about the privilege at all, which is the whole reason he wasn't testifying. And there was one other thing that the judge said was not allowed. And this was a motion brought by the prosecution to stop him from being able to use those things in his defense. And so his attorney, then there was another part that nobody's really talking about, where his attorney, Costello, asked to be removed from the case because there was a chance that he would need to testify on behalf of his client because he was the one who told his client not to testify in the first place. So basically taking the guilt off of Bannon and saying, well, I, as his counsel, advised him not to testify in front of the committee until we could work through the issues. The judge was not going to let that happen either, but Costello stepped down anyway, just in case. So he had to bring in a whole new team of attorneys. These new attorneys walked out of the hearing where the judge decided that there was basically no defense that Bannon could raise at all. Like, what else is he going to say? I mean, they removed everything from him. And the attorney was like, well, why are we even having a trial at this point? Like, I can't defend him.
Yeah.
So then yesterday, before they were doing jury selection, there's an account on Truth Social that covered the Sussman case called Real Toria Brooke. I'm going to pull it up real quick. The Real Toria Brooke. Now, I don't know this person at all. I'm just putting this out here. But the Sussman trial, she was there, live truthing from the Sussman trial. She did a fantastic job. And she's doing it again with this trial. She's there in the media room, live truthing what's going on. And she has a juror profile section where because she sat through jury selection. So we know what the jury pool looks like. And it's all a bunch of people who said, no, there's no bias. There's no prejudice. I highly doubt it. Absolutely lies. So they do the jury selection. They're almost through getting their jury impaneled. And the government says, we would like to enter into evidence these letters from the committee to Bannon. And the letters are from like the chair of the committee and other people in the committee. And the letters specifically talk about the things that the prosecution had just asked the judge to not allow Bannon to use as a defense.
Right.
So Bannon's sitting there like, well, wait a second. You can't have this come in and I can't cross-examine the people who said those things, right? Because if you're putting a letter into evidence, it's technically hearsay. And Bannon should have the ability to cross-examine the people who wrote the letter. If you put the letter in without that ability, then he doesn't have the right to face his accuser or to cross-examine a witness. So he was arguing that that's unfair. And it's complicated, but the committee members invoked something called the speech and debate clause, which it gives them basically blanket immunity to not have to go in to testify in a case.
Okay.
So
again, like everything else, this is just a matter of how do you make something happen without, but also you want to do something that is provocative in public, but it can't go too far either.
Right. So God forbid these people have to answer cross-examination.
Yeah.
I mean, so what they have is a bunch of like figureheads in there. So the first witness yesterday was the attorney, one of the lead attorneys for the committee. Anyway, so the judge granted the motion that the committee members not have to come in and testify. He also, it's interesting too, because remember when, I don't know if you know this, but Kevin McCarthy entered a brief in support of Bannon from the House minority, alleging that the committee wasn't even like a legitimate committee, that they didn't have subpoena power at all, which is why the judge barred them from being able to talk about whether or not the committee was legitimate.
Well, how could anything be legitimate if there's no cross-examination?
Well, two different things. Well, you're right, first of all, on the case. This is a show trial, and the judge is a Trump-appointed judge, so let's put that all aside. This judge seemed like, until yesterday, he was absolutely asleep until yesterday when all of this stuff started happening. And then he was like, I didn't rule that they couldn't. It was just it was a clown show.
Bring in the Rittenhouse judge, please.
I know. Long story short, we're at the point now where the letters can be admitted. Bannon is all of a sudden now allowed to argue that they were in the midst of negotiations. He's allowed to argue some things that he wasn't going to be allowed to argue before. His attorney said, can we please continue this trial, like meaning postpone it now? Because we didn't think we were preparing a defense for any of this because you told us we weren't allowed. So now we don't have anything planned in terms of questioning or anything like that. And the judge was basically like, we'll take a break for an hour and you guys sort it out. So,
gosh.
So Bannon, which with his lawyer standing right next to him, because I think he just knows that he's going to be guilty. I mean, there's no, like, he's not under any, false pretenses that he'll actually win this. He's outside the courtroom at a press conference. Here.
This portion of the podcast has been edited. If you guys want to hear the full version of the podcast, you can go to our Rumble channel at Uncover DC, or you can go to our website, uncoverdc.com, underneath podcasts.
He just basically goes on for like another, gosh knows how long.
Good for him.
I mean, but he's in the middle of this lawsuit. So now at this point, there's just no way he thinks he's getting out of it. Because why not throw balls to the wall at that point if you think you're going to be found guilty by the jury anyway?
So what does this mean? Is it going to be 30 days in jail for contempt?
It's 30 days to a year for each charge. There's 2 of them.
Jeez.
And I mean, there hasn't been anybody put in jail since like the Red Scare back in, what year was that? Goodness, who knows?
50s?
Yeah, something like that. There were like 10 people that refused to testify to the committee that were thrown in jail for it. But that's the last time it's happened. I mean, we could go through all the hypocrisy, but the judge apparently dismissed a bunch of jurors himself for bias. So anyway, if you want to follow the case, I think Viva Fry is doing it for Post Millennial. So he's got a bunch of videos up. They're always good. He's brilliant. I love listening to him for the legal analysis. And there's a couple other people covering it too, but I'll be watching it until I don't anymore because I'm going on vacation.
Wow. I don't know where to watch it anyway. This is the first update I've gotten.
Well, I'm all over it. And you know what's crazy? It's not crazy. It just happens in courts now.
I know. We gotta transport that judge all around the country. He has to come in like a ringer, just so we know we have a decently sane man.
And again, I've been like obsessed with watching these interrogation videos lately just to get an idea of like how this all works. I'm just going to tell everybody out there, in case you didn't know, whether you are innocent, volunteering information, or guilty, never speak to law enforcement without an attorney present. Ever. Don't do it. It'll be the end of you. Don't do it. Back to climate change.
Back to climate change?
Yeah, because the climate emergency was something we started with and then just completely veered off topic.
Oh, I mean, what else is there to say about that?
Well,
it's hot in the summer. Now supposedly it's never been hotter, and everybody's burning up, and now the government needs to step in because they're very good at everything. The government is so good at everything they can't even keep the streets, the streets from cratering in New York City.
I saw that in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah, a huge sinkhole opened up in the Bronx, swallowed up a bunch of cars.
Yeah, but they're going to turn down the thermostat of the planet, though.
You know what sucks though? Honestly, the people in England, they don't have ACs in England. They don't have them.
I didn't know. What do you mean they don't have them?
They're never warm in England like that. Apparently, they don't have ACs there. That's what a friend of a friend said.
Even in summertime, even whatever the hell their summertime looks like, they don't.
Let me see. Let's look it up. What is summertime like in the UK?
That's impossible. What? There's no air conditioning in the UK. There's probably air conditioning in Rwanda.
Yes. It's anywhere between 59 and 77.
At the height of summer?
Yes.
59 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yes.
I know they have the other system.
Yeah, 15 to 25 Celsius, 59 to 77 Fahrenheit.
And now I'd say that they're freaking out because it's like 40 Celsius.
It says here, although UK weather is unpredictable, it's rarely extreme. In summer, the average temperature ranges from 9 to 18 degrees Celsius or 48 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's cold there, so they don't need ACs. Just saying. That's what they say.
Well, good for them.
So there's a website now that has started up that calls out stars for their private jet usage as they claim to be for climate change or climate advocates. So like, for example, Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg takes a 10-minute flight to go what would take 36 minutes to drive. And he sits out there yelling at everybody about climate change.
They really take 10-minute flights, or is that just a...
Oh no, for real. It's in here. Like they're tracking them. 17 minutes after saying I'm terrified of global warming. 17 minutes. So that's like literally 10 minutes in flight.
A 10-minute flight means like it was only a 40-minute drive.
Yes. His 28-mile trip from Amsterdam Airport to Rotterdam Airport would have taken him just 36 minutes by car. Flight, yeah.
Listen, it all, once your trust is broken in what they say they're trying to do, then it all makes sense.
Jay-Z and Beyonce, 47-minute trip goes against their green print project. And Drake, we've got Drake, 18 minutes across Canada after launching partnership to reduce carbon footprint. Mark Wahlberg, 9-minute flight across California, 9 minutes.
Is Mark Wahlberg a big climate change guy? So I thought he was, I thought he was one of the, I don't know.
It says Hollywood superstar Mark Wahlberg completely switched up his diet in 2020 to a plant-based diet after years of eating huge amounts of animal products. He said he felt really good for the change and advocated for the removal of meat from his diet or advocated the removal of meat from his diet for the improvement. He starred in M. Night Shyamalan's climate change thriller, The Happening.
That was a climate change thriller?
I didn't know that.
Stupid movie.
Kim Kardashian, 10-minute trip on her $150 million private jet.
God, I hate these people.
Yeah. Well, so they're hypocrites, all of them.
Yes, they are.
Oh goodness. Also, I don't know if you caught this, but Cognitive Carbon, the Substack, he's a friend of mine, Eric. Anyway, there was apparently it seems like it's ready for production at this point. He wrote a Substack article about a hydrogen energy source that this scientist that he knows has created, and he's like a world-renowned scientist. I'll put it in the show notes. His name is Dr. Mills. It's called EPR. The International Journal of Hydrogen Energy published Dr. Mills's electron paramagnetic resonance proof for the existence of molecular hydrino. It's a clean energy, free energy source. A new way to mess around with hydrogen.
Well, all right. That goes right over my head.
Yeah, I mean, he did a pretty good job breaking this down, so I'll put it in the show notes for any scientists out there who want to read it. But that's it. And guess what? We're not going to be back until next month.
Until August. And then, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. August 1st. And then the 26th starts the extravaganza. So.
Wow. That's that's gonna be a much needed week for me too.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be good. And little Aurora is running around. I saw her on your show. It was so cute.
Oh, you saw that?
Oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh, she's like
9 minutes. That was 9 minutes of heaven. That broadcast right there. I was looking for things to do with her that day because we had to go to a friend's house in Monroe, and I was just like, I'm bringing her on. And she doesn't know what's going on, but man, oh man.
She's like, you're like, you dropped your gavel.
Yes. I would if she were a judge, we'd all be fine.
She's so
We'd
cute.
all be fine. I would bribe her with Lady and the Tramp. I'd say, if you
Oh, that's what you were talking about. That's
if
right.
I'm not guilty, we can watch Lady and the Tramp. And she'll go, yes.
She's so cute. I can't wait to see her again.
Yeah.
Very exciting. So, well, you have been listening to the Dark to Light podcast with
Heatwave Val and
On Vacation Beans. You can hear us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2:30 Eastern Time on TuneIn, Stitcher, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and RadioInfluence.com. We will be back in August.
later.
I'm Jerry P. Tuck, CEO of Radio Influence. I just wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you for downloading and subscribing to this podcast. There are a lot of people behind the scenes here at Radio Influence that work hard to keep you entertained day in and day out. If you'd like to get involved and advertise on this program, or you have some show ideas that you'd like to see us add to the Radio Influence family, please email us at contact@radioinfluence.com. We all have crazy schedules, so the fact that you took time out of your busy day to let us entertain you for a while means a lot. Without you, the listeners, we wouldn't exist, so thank you again for downloading and subscribing to this show. Don't forget to check out radioinfluence.com to see what other shows we also have to offer. All of Radio Influence's programming can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and of course,
If you guys want to hear the full version of the podcast, you can go to our Rumble channel at Uncover DC, or you can go to our website, uncoverdc.com, underneath podcasts.